In today's Final Touch, a lot of people look forward to retiring in their 60s or 70s.
Don't tell that to Anthony Manchielli. He is listed in the Guinness Book of World Records as the oldest barber in the world. He's 107 years old, turns 108 in March, and he's still working full-time, 40 hours a week cutting hair. 96 years ago, Anthony started cutting hair at the age of 11. He wanted to help out in his dad's shop. Anthony's advice for a long life: keep working, don't slow down. So he has no plans to retire anytime soon. Anthony not only works full-time, he also lives on his own and drives to work every day.
Wow.
So, Eric, you got a ways to go.
Just a couple years left.
Hundreds.
Well, you think he loves what he does?
Yeah, he's amazing. 107 years old. All right, that's our time for now. Thanks for watching. News 3 at 5 starts right now. Right now at 5, med services had to be canceled in Columbia County after a laser was pointed at a med flight pilot. Plus, 8 alders have announced that they are not running for re-election. We'll tell you why not. And the Badgers and the Big Apple, we have live coverage from New York City ahead of Wisconsin's matchup against Miami in the Pinstripe Bowl.
This is News 3 at 5.
Thanks for staying with us. An investigation is underway this evening after someone aimed a laser pointer at a UW Medflight helicopter. Deputies are looking for the person responsible. News 3's Rose Schmidt explains the events that led up to this.
Well, Mark, Columbia County authorities and the Medflight crew say they have heard about laser pointers being aimed at aircrafts in larger cities where there are more planes. But they can't remember it ever happening around here, and much less a helicopter responding in a rural area to save someone's life.
We don't know if it was a joke or not, but it's very serious.
The Columbia County Sheriff's Office is trying to figure out who would shine a laser pointer at a UW Medflight. That's what detectives say happened on Tuesday night near Partyville.
The pilot reported that somebody was shining a laser pointer into the cockpit and specifically into his eyes.
The Medflight was originally called to Crown Road in Scott Township at 5 p.m. after a 17-year-old boy was seriously injured in a UTV crash. The flight was rerouted to Partyville because of weather issues, and that's where the Medflight crew says they saw that laser light.
It appeared to the crew that they were purposely targeted by a laser that was tracking them.
There's only one pilot for the UW Medflight, and his crew says he suffered an eye injury as a result of the incident.
It can result in permanent eye damage to the retina, which is the back of the eyeball.
But that wasn't even the Medflight crew's biggest worry. Instead, it was for the crash victim, who had to be taken to the hospital in an ambulance after the Medflight couldn't land.
By far the biggest concern to the crew themselves wasn't so much themselves, it was the fact that they weren't able to go where they were called to go. So that is a big concern as well, and so that can sometimes have consequences.
The crew says this wasn't a powerful laser, but likely one you have in your home. And in any case, shining one at a helicopter is never a good idea.
It is a federal crime to aim a laser pointer at an aircraft.
A deputy also had to be taken to the hospital after his leg was injured while going door to door trying to find the person responsible for shining that laser. And anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers, and we'll put that number up on your screen.
Rose Schmidt reporting live for us. Thank you. Madison police officers are looking for 3 teenage girls who officials say attacked a 24-year-old woman and threw rocks at her car. Police responded to the Walgreens on Mineral Point Road for a reported fight Friday night. Officials said 3 preteen or teenage girls were banging on the windows of cars parked in the lot. A woman got out of her car and temporarily chased them off. Officials say the girls then returned and started throwing rocks at her car and attacked her. The victim had minor injuries. There was no damage to the vehicle. Madison police are looking for 2 robbers who stole cash from a pedestrian early this morning. Officers responded to the area of Browning Road and Dryden Drive, that's near Warner Park, around midnight for a report of an armed robbery. Police said the victim, a 36-year-old man, was walking to a gas station from a nearby house when 2 suspects approached him. They were armed with a gun and pointed it at the victim's head before demanding money. The victim gave the robbers cash, then the robbers left the scene. The victim was not injured. Dane County deputies investigating the cause of a house fire in Sun Prairie. Deputies say it happened just before 1:30 this afternoon at 2267 Manley Drive in the town of Sun Prairie. Deputies say they have half of the duplex was in flames when they arrived and were able to get all of the people out of the house safely. The fire department did rescue a cat and a dog from the structure. Officials say the fire does not appear to be suspicious. The Red Cross is assisting displaced residents. Let's get a look now at your first alert weather forecast. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti here. The weather's going to change a little bit.
Yeah, we've got some precipitation coming in from the west. The big question is what type it'll be when it gets here. If you are traveling up to the north, you can see that there are winter weather advisories for much of the northern third of Wisconsin, winter storm warnings north and west of the Twin Cities, even blizzard warnings back in parts of North Dakota and South Dakota. We have an alert day in the forecast for tonight for a mixture of some light snow, maybe a little light freezing rain, mainly north of Madison this evening. Any mixed precipitation will change to all rain across our entire viewing area by morning. You can see on Doppler track the precipitation approaching southwestern Wisconsin. Initially, it could be a mixture of rain and snow here in Madison, a little bit of light freezing rain north of Madison, but eventually that will change over to all rain as temperatures warm up overnight. Low temperatures this morning started out pretty mild in the middle 20s to the lower 30s. High temperatures so far today right around 40 degrees. A few places did hit the 40-degree mark, and current temperatures are still in the upper 30s. You can see everybody except for areas just north of our viewing area are at or above freezing. So again, that will make a difference, at least as far as precipitation types. By tomorrow morning, look for some light rain. By that time, everybody should be just looking at some rain. And then we could even see a thunderstorm during the day tomorrow with a high temperature of 48. Record high for tomorrow is 50, set back in 2003. I'll have more details in the first alert forecast in a few minutes. Also, I do want to have a quick traffic update here. We do have that situation on I-90-94 near the Columbia-Sauk County line. The road has reopened, but the right lane is still blocked. Traffic very slow in both directions from basically I-39-90. So if you're heading north on I-94, take I-39 to Wisconsin 16 or get off at Wisconsin 33. Take that to Baraboo and then to US 12. If you're coming out of the Madison area, you might as well just take 12 straight north to Lake Delton and bypass everything if you're heading up toward the Twin Cities tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a while the way it looks.
It will be.
All right, thank you, Garrett.
Sure.
We're going to see a lot of turnover on Madison's Common Council next year. Our Amy Reed joining us now to show us where the change is coming from. Amy?
Yeah, 8 alders have filed paperwork indicating that they are not running for re-election. So this covers alders in districts 2, 3, 7, 10, 12, 13, 15, and 20. There's a variety of reasons here. One, Maurice Cheeks is instead running for mayor. Some are moving. Some just decided it was their time to step down. I talked with the alder from District 13. He stepped in for Sarah Eskrich when she resigned, and he said back then that he wouldn't run again, so he's just sticking to that. He said this will certainly bring some changes, especially with the potential for a new mayor.
It will be very interesting to see the new equilibrium the council sets. I mean, I think that if you're interested in city politics, the next year is going to be a pretty fascinating time.
This is an abnormal amount of alders leaving at once. Over the past few years, the average has been closer to 4 or 5, but Alder Arnson said it's just a coincidence. The deadline to file paperwork saying that you're not running for re-election has already passed, so we shouldn't see anyone else announcing that they're not running again. But if you are interested in replacing one of these people, the deadline to apply is January 2nd.
All right, time running out there. Amy, thank you. Health officials are suggesting anyone who bought wreaths or other evergreen decorations to bag and dispose of them or burn them after inspectors found invasive insects on many items sold at large chain stores in Wisconsin. Inspectors found an insect called the elongate hemlock scale on wreaths and arrangements on evergreen boughs. The insect saps nutrients as it feeds on the underside of conifer needles. Officials said the infested decorations were found throughout the state in several major chain stores. As the city of Janesville approaches the 2019 budget, it's looking at ways to cut costs. Rock County reporter Adam Duxter joins us live from the Bureau with how changing the process of snow removal can do just that while helping the environment as well. Adam?
Well, Mark, as the winter season continues to approach, the city of Janesville is looking to alternatives for traditional rock salt. Now, those alternatives include using salt brine in other agricultural byproducts. And Operations Superintendent Cameron Nash says the price of road salt jumped 24% since last year, from around $66 to over $80 a ton. But she says using alternatives could not just save the city some money, but could also be better for the environment.
There's going to be less chlorides that go into the stormwater system, less that are in our rivers, less material that bounces up on the terrace and can create issues with grass growth and with plants. Overall, the goal is to reduce the amount of chlorides that we're overall putting out into our stormwater system and onto the streets.
Now, these changes would go into play in 2019, and while Nash says the city has benefited from a unusual dry winter so far, she says that as the snow, sleet, and all the other stuff picks up, this could be a decision that saves the city quite a bit of cash.
Yeah, we're not out of the woods yet with winter, that's for sure. Adam Dexter reporting live from our bureau at the Janesville Gazette. Thank you. The Badger football team started the day by ringing the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange ahead of the Pinstripe Bowl tomorrow. Our Melissa Kim joining us live now from New York City with more on the lucky guys that got to experience that at Wall Street today. Melissa.
Yeah, hi, Mark. You know, part of the whole bowl game experience is, of course, playing in the actual game, but also getting to experience things in the city that you're playing in. Where better else to be in than New York City here? We're actually in Times Square now. We're kind of getting run over by horses and buggies over by Central Park, but we're here now where they're setting up for New Year's Eve here at Times Square. Of course, the ball drop will be here. It's just behind us in that tower, if you can see that blue lit tower there. But anyway, so a lot of these guys getting to experience some pretty cool things in New York City as well. Among them, Alec Ingold, the Green Bay native, got to be the chosen one to ring the bell at the New York Stock Exchange this morning. And these guys, they clean up pretty well in suits and ties and everything, all dressed up. Now, Alec is among this year's 16 seniors on the team, and this class has never lost a bowl game in their collegiate careers, and they're not about to start now.
Just having that track record of those guys not losing a bowl game, but then, you know, coming off the loss, you know, we definitely want to send those seniors out right. You know, you never want to leave with a bad taste in your mouth, so we got to make sure that we put our best foot forward and come out with the win.
I think as a team, I think we're really just trying to play for each other and try to get this last win as a team because, you know, we worked so hard this whole year, so why wouldn't you want to get another win? So I think everybody has the motivation to come out and give it their all for sure.
Now, Wisconsin has quite the streak when it comes to winning bowl games. It dates back to 2015 when they beat Auburn in the Outback Bowl. Now, Paul Chryst wasn't the head coach, and he was kind of on his way here. That's when Barry Alvarez coached the Badgers. So we'll say Paul Chryst is definitely still undefeated when it comes to bowl games. Now, Jonathan Taylor, the running back, he is on this team as well. He's actually from the area. He's from New Jersey. So he and also quarterback Jack Cohn, they have a lot of fans and friends and family coming to this game. We'll have more on that coming up later at 6.
All right, Melissa Kim live in the Big Apple, Times Square, looking good. See you at 6. And there's more to come on News 3 at 5. Up next, President Trump visits U.S. troops overseas. Details of his surprise trip to Iraq. Plus, today's the first full business day of the partial government shutdown, why there's still no end in sight to the budget standoff. And the Badgers might have given that stock market some good luck today. Dow closes up more than 1,000 points. Its best day in 10 years as stocks rally back from Christmas Eve beatings. We'll be right back. Welcome back. President Trump and the First Lady made a surprise visit to U.S. troops in Iraq today. The president tweeted a video and wrote, "Melania and I were honored to visit our incredible troops at Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq. God bless the USA." The president said no immediate plans to withdraw from Iraq. About 5,200 U.S. troops are stationed there. His trip to Iraq comes days after announcing that he is pulling all U.S. forces from neighboring Syria, leading to the resignation of Defense Secretary James Mattis. This is the first time since becoming commander-in-chief that Mr. Trump has traveled to Iraq, or any combat zone for that matter. The Commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection is ordering new steps to protect migrant children in its custody after the death of an 8-year-old boy from Guatemala on Christmas Eve. Customs and Border Protection says it's conducting secondary medical checks on all children under 10 years old in its custody. Agents noticed 8-year-old Felipe Gomez Alonso was sick, so he was taken to the hospital where he was diagnosed and treated for a common cold, then released. That evening, he appeared to be nauseous and vomited. His father declined further medical assistance. 3 hours later, authorities say Felipe was lethargic and nauseous again and sent to the hospital. On the way, he lost consciousness and died.
This administration has put deterrence and enforcement ahead of humane treatment of people.
We need help from Congress. We need to budget for medical care and mental health care for children in our facilities.
This is the second death of a migrant child in U.S. custody this month. It comes amid a standoff between President Trump and Congress over funding for a border wall. The partial government shutdown is in its 5th day, and there is still no sign of movement in the budget stalemate. Today was the first full business day since the start of the partial government shutdown. 800,000 federal employees are either furloughed or working without pay. White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett called it a short-term problem.
What happens in the end is that people get their pay. They might miss a pay period because the government shut down, but in the end, even if they aren't working, then Congress has decided to pay people for the whole time.
The shutdown could drag into the new year as President Trump battles with Democrats over funding for a border wall. Lawmakers return to the Capitol tomorrow to continue working on the stalemate. During previous government shutdowns, the estimated cost of lost productivity climbed into the billions of dollars. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg is back at home after undergoing surgery. The Supreme Court justice was discharged from a New York hospital yesterday. Surgeons removed 2 cancerous nodules from her left lung on Friday. Doctors discovered the malignant nodules in November after Ginsburg fell in her office and fractured 3 ribs. According to the court, she now has no evidence of any disease elsewhere in her body. The court says she is recuperating at home. Time now for the weather. Gary, maybe a thunderstorm tomorrow in December?
Go figure. You know, temperatures are going to be warm enough that we could be flirting with record high temperatures as well. But we do have an alert day in the forecast for tonight, mainly for some light snow and light freezing rain north of Madison this evening. That will all change over to rain by tomorrow morning. But if we are traveling up to the north tonight, keep that in mind. You might be running into some slippery road surfaces before temperatures warm up to the point where everything changes over to rain. And you can see on Doppler track precipitation just approaching the Mississippi River from the south and west. And you can kind of see where that rain snow line is, and that will be lifting northward with time. So you can kind of just track it right across Madison and then up to the north. So areas south and east of Madison will primarily just see rain, and then the farther north you go, there could be that mix of precipitation that eventually will change over to rain. But as we take a look at what's happening farther up to the north, as that system continues to lift to the north, precipitation primarily being in the form of snow with some light freezing rain in about the northern third of Wisconsin. Winter weather advisories are in effect there. Winter storm warnings are in effect for much of northwestern Minnesota and far northwestern Wisconsin for 7 to 12 inches of snow, and blizzard warnings are in effect for parts of northern South Dakota. Snowfall amounts from the GFS computer model, perhaps up to 1 foot of snow in spots across central Minnesota and maybe a 1/2 foot or more up toward the Duluth Superior area. The European computer model, pretty much the same story. Heaviest snow back in the Dakotas, but still 6 to maybe 10 inches up toward the Superior area, and then lake effect snows could kick in near Lake Superior in far northern Wisconsin and the UP of Michigan. Live view from the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison. Skies are mostly cloudy right now, but it's not raining or snowing here in Madison. High today 39 degrees compared to an average high of 27. Low temperature of 25. That's almost where our average high should be. The average low is 13. Right now we're at 37 with mostly cloudy skies. Easterly winds at 9 miles per hour. As we look at temperatures, it's cold enough for snow and mixed precipitation in the northern half of Wisconsin, but basically from about the Dells southward, it's warm enough for mainly rain at this point. Might turn a couple degrees colder over this evening before temperatures start to rise later on. Meantime, as this storm system comes together, tornado watches are in effect for parts of Texas as a squall line starts to sweep through there. The main part of the storm system is actually starting to move just into the areas around the Texas Panhandle, and it'll take a path just to the west of us. So for us, that means that we'll be on the warm side of the storm for much of it, and these temperatures that are in the 40s will continue to lift northward while the temperatures to our north and west stay cold enough for snow and mixed precipitation. And you can see this on Future Track. Basically, from about the Twin Cities to around, say, Park Falls, north and west of there, that will all be snow. There'll be some mixed precipitation over northern Wisconsin, but mainly rain here until the tail end. On Friday, we'll see everything change over to some light snow or flurries. Could see some minor snow accumulations into Friday night. 34 for the low, but that'll be this evening, and it'll be windy with that mix of precipitation changing to rain overnight as temperatures rise through the 30s. Tomorrow, look for a high of 48. Record high for tomorrow is 50, set back in 2003, and you can't even rule out an isolated thunderstorm. On Future Track, you can see that mix of precipitation lifting northward. By morning, everybody's in the rain. For tomorrow during the day, rain and perhaps some isolated thunderstorms, scattered rain showers tomorrow night, and then on Friday, again, that switches over to some light snow or flurries. Snowfall potential for this evening, maybe up to an inch or two north of the Dells. Otherwise, very little in the way of snow accumulations, but rainfall amounts through Friday anywhere from about 3/4 of an inch to an inch over much of southern Wisconsin. 7 to 10 day forecast calls for those temperatures to turn colder in the wake of this system. Will only be in the mid-20s Saturday, low 30s on Sunday. New Year's Eve, we're back up to 36, and we could see some flurries at night. That will lead to colder temperatures for New Year's Day, and then some up and down temperature swings, some light snow, maybe a little bit of light freezing rain on Thursday of next week. Otherwise, temperatures seasonably cold for this time of year.
All right, Gary, keep an eye on things for us. Thank you.
Will do.
Ahead at 5, gift cards are becoming more and more popular, but not just with shoppers. The Federal Trade Commission says they're a scammer's favorite new way to steal money. I'll tell you what you need to know to protect yourself next. A big-name retailer and AARP are joining forces to warn us about a growing scam. Imposters posing as a loved one or even the IRS and demanding payment with gift cards. The Federal Trade Commission says the number of these reported scams has jumped 270% over the last 3 years. Tony DeCopel has more from New York.
All the steps that were being done and taken seemed real.
Trinidad Gonzalez is still trying to face the fact that scammers preyed on her emotions to pad their own pockets. About 3 months ago, she says a man claiming to be her grandson called saying he was in jail and needed thousands of dollars immediately. He then put someone on the phone who posed as an attorney.
You know, I was hesitant because that's a lot of money.
But the caller said he would make it easy for the 76-year-old grandmother. He told her to purchase gift cards from Walmart and give him the numbers on the back of the cards. He warned her not to answer questions from store employees.
And they asked me, do you know where this money is going to? And I said, it's going to my grandchildren.
According to the Federal Trade Commission, 26% of scam victims paid with a gift card between January and September this year. That's up from only 7% in 2015.
Why wouldn't a scammer just ask for cash or a credit card number?
Well, typically with cash, you'd have to have a meetup somehow, and so they don't want to create that risk. So gift cards largely are untraceable.
Last month, Walmart, Target, and Best Buy announced steps to try to curb fraud. Among them, reducing gift card limits, restricting the redemption of gift cards for other gift cards, and enhancing employee training.
Buying gift cards for loved ones has...
Best Buy is taking it a step further, teaming up with the AARP in a new public service announcement.
We certainly see more people start reporting it because we are empowering customers now to not be scared about talking about this.
The FTC says if someone calls you demanding that you pay them with a gift card, don't do it. The cards cannot be used to pay for bail. They cannot be used to pay for taxes either. Now, if you think you've been scammed already, you should report the fraud to your credit card company and then tell the Federal Trade Commission. Tony DeCopel, CBS News, New York.
Good advice. We'll have another check of the weather when we come back.
Here's a look at some of the stories we're working on. The President and First Lady's Christmas surprise for U.S. troops in Iraq. Plus, what's behind the big bounce back day on Wall Street? And how a holiday ray of light delivers hope for hospitalized children. Tonight on the CBS Evening News.
And Gary's here with one final check of the weather. Heading north, you've got to keep an eye on things.
In fact, right now, we'll just take a quick peek at the traffic. Again, on I-90-94, your mile marker 110 after Wisconsin 33, there's an accident there. Still blocking the right lane, so traffic very slow in that vicinity. If you're heading northbound, get off at I-39 and then take Highway 16 over. If you're coming from Madison, just take US 12 up to Lake Delton. You see a Doppler track where the rain-snow line is close to us, just about ready to cross over the Mississippi River. Temperatures right now, though, slightly above freezing, which is good news here. We will turn colder after the storm system passes by, and then some flurries on New Year's holiday, but other than that, pretty quiet for into much of next week.
We like quiet. That's our time for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here at 6. The CBS Evening News starts right now.